Welcome all to an interview with the winners of the Win-Win Gothenburg Sustainability Youth Award. My name is Fredrika Andersson and I'm the Youth Ambassador for the award. Win-Win Award was founded in 2000 and has since then become one of the world's leading sustainability awards. The awards aims to recognize and support outstanding contributions to a more sustainable future, considering all aspects, ecological, environmental and social. Economical, environmental and social. In 2018, the Win-Win Youth Award was founded, celebrating global youth initiatives. And that is why we're here. We have with us the winners of this year's Youth Award, and this year the theme was corruption. So here with us today we have anti-corruption heroes Reduva. Felicitaciones. It's so nice to have you here. How do you feel about winning?
Well, it's awesome. We are more than 60 people right now in Reduva. So when we knew the great notice that we were the winners, we were really happy to know that our work, our hard work, has been recognized in other countries and in an international prize. And of course, now we are really happy, and it's a boost for us to continue our work.
Amazing. How did you celebrate? Were you able to meet in person? How did you tell the notice to your team?
Yes, I don't know. Well, this is a traditional game here called Ahorcado. It's like you put the lines from each letter of a word, and then the people has to say, for example, A, and in each line that the A goes, we fill it. So we did that game, and the phrase was, "We are the winners of the Win-Win Award." So when they discovered the phrase, they were like, oh my God, is it real? No, it's not real. Is it real? Yeah, it's real. And everyone was like laughing and screaming, and that's how we celebrate.
That sounds amazing. That really is a great way of showing that you actually won the prize. So thank you for that. We want to hear a lot more about you and your organization. But before that, we thought that we would put you to the test. So corruption is the theme of this year's Win-Win Award, and it can be a kind of difficult concept, kind of abstract. And I think a lot of people don't really know what it actually means. So I think we should start this interview to begin with straighten it out, and at the same time, see how much you actually know about corruption. So I'm going to ask 5 questions to you and give you alternatives to the answer. And then, just answer which of the answers you think is correct. This is like a live quiz show. So there are many definitions of corruption. The most famous one is the abuse of entrusted power for private gain. What organization founded this definition? Was it 1, the United Nations, or Cross, the Transparency International, or 2, WikiLeaks? Is it United Nations, Transparency International, or WikiLeaks?
We are very sure that it is Transparency International.
Yeah.
Yay! Great job! That is absolutely correct. So Transparency International founded that organization, they're one of the biggest organizations working for anti-corruption. Great, we continue. Second question. What is the global cost of corruption? What is the global cost of corruption? Is it 1, $3.6 trillion? Cross, the trust in government of the people? Or 2, that nobody knows what the true cost of corruption is?
I think nobody knows the cost of corruption, but even though the confidence is really damaged because of corruption.
Great answer, because that was a trick question. All of the answers are correct.
Yeah.
There's an estimation of the UN that is $3.6 trillion, but it also costs so much more. Like you say, it also costs people's trust in government and environmental issues. And also, since these activities are illegal and like hidden away, we don't really know how much is lost. Great.
Yeah, we have like specific amounts in each country, but when we do a better research, we find that the costs are really higher than we expect.
Yeah, it's really true. It's always much worse than you actually of the estimates. Okay, so you're doing great so far. Next question. A whistleblower is a term for an insider in an organization or company who shares information to the public about something that is wrong, a wrongdoing. Chelsea Manning is one of the more famous whistleblowers. There's some of these like famous figures that you might hear about. What did she do? And here are some alternatives. Did she, 1, tell about sexual abuse conducted by UN troops in the Central African Republic? Or cross, tell about the public about how the US used intelligence to overlook other state leaders, such as Angela Merkel and other leaders? Or did she to share documents with WikiLeaks about US troops action in Iraq and Afghanistan? What did Chelsea Manning do?
This is a kind difficult, but from Reduva, we've been working for strength the whistleblower roles and actions that, of course, are very useful for corruption fights. But we would like to you that share us what is the correct answer, because we are not sure.
We don't know her.
Chelsea Manning, she shared documents with WikiLeaks about US troops in Iraq and Afghanistan, about really like bad behaviors of these people.
Great.
But there's a lot of these like high profiles that we need to know more about. So yeah.
Yeah, of course.
And great that you're doing this job to highlight them. They have such an important role to play.
Yeah,
okay, sorry, Daniel.
No, I just want to say that we participate in the construction of a bill that wants to promote and ensure the role of whistleblowers. So it was why I told you before.
That is amazing. That is so good. Great. Okay, continuing. The fourth question. Corruption is, well, also a part of all of our everyday lives. It affects us, all of us living. And now I want to hear one type of action, if you think it is corrupt or if it's not corrupt.
Okay.
So do you think it is corrupt to buy flowers for your teacher so that maybe you get better grades? Is that part of corruption? Yes or no?
Yes, because of the intention. If you buy flowers to your teacher because, I don't know, you love her and you give the flowers at the end of the course after all the grades, perfect. But if you gave her the flowers aiming to change her perspective of your grades, well, the intention, it's what counts. And something really important regarding corruption definition is that it involves the intention behind. If you are conscious of the intention you want to do, well, you are being committing a corrupting act. So because of the intention, I will say yes, I don't know you.
Yeah, it's like the definition that gives us transparency. It's like all intention is a private gain. So that is where you are like taking the action for a specific result.
And this opens the path for the conversation to something really important, and it's that corruption is not only at the political sphere. So individual acts that are really normal and occurs in our daily life can be corrupted acts too. So, well, I say yes.
I think it's really interesting. I would say no, but I also agree with you. So I think, I mean, you're the corruption expert, so I'm going to give you a yes. One thing that is specifically, I think, interesting is that what you say, that we're all part of corruption, like it trickles down, that we actually use. There are so many ways in which we are corrupt in our daily lives. And also, if you think about this example, if a politician would accept flowers or any type of gift, then it's a bribe. So it's kind of a bribe to give it to your teacher, as you said. But the intention part, I think you're smarter than me in this issue. So I'm going to give you a point for that.
Thank you.
Okay, so last question. You are the winners of the Win-Win Youth Award, but there's another another Win-Win Award, like the ones who go to all participants, not specifically youth. And we want to know if you know the winner of the non-youth Win-Win Award. So who won the big Win-Win Award? Was it one, Johannes Stefansson from Iceland? Was it Ekis Nicola Gratteri from Italy? Or two, Integrity Wash Afghanistan?
It was the first.
The first one, we read about him in the Win-Win Award website.
Great job. It was Johannes Stefansson. That is the right answer. So he shared information about the fish root files about corruption in fishing quotas in Nairobi. So it's a really interesting thing to read about at the Win-Win side, just like you did. Great. So well done in the quiz. And now we want to hear more about you. First of all, what are your names? What is your organization? What does Reduva stand for? We can start there.
Well, I am Daniela León. I am the president and the general leader of Reduva.
And I am Villamil. I am the research leader of the Reduva.
And well, Reduva stands for fight corruption in Colombia and hopefully in Latin America, with one general objective that is build a culture of transparency in our countries. It's something that we need, but that we are really conscious that is a long process. So we always remind our volunteers and of course our partners that we are working for 2050 transparency culture. So the things that we are doing right now are going to help future generations. Because of course, fighting corruption isn't something that happens from one day to another. It needs to be a process, and a process that involves a lot of people. We have three target populations. The first one, first generations, childs. The second one, institutions, public and private, that can't work with us to implement solutions that the research department finds that can work for the country. And third, young people from 18 to 30 years that need to know that their role in our society is transcendental and fundamental and can make a change. That are our three target populations.
Yeah. So it's really about having patience working with corruption, understanding it is a long game that you're playing. That's really inspirational to keep that motivation up. It must be hard sometimes.
Yeah, and something really important is that traditionally in Colombia, corruption is fighted in a reactive way. So we wait for the act to happen, and then we said, okay, you have 20 years of jail. And okay, that's good because there have to be like something that goes
accountable. Yeah.
Yeah, like a cost for bad acts. But why do we have to wait to the act to occur? Why can't we prevent it to occur? And that's why we try to attack corruption by both approaches. Of course, reactive thing it's important, but the preventive approach is really important, and we want to focus on the merge of both approaches for better results.
That is amazing. And I think it also sets you apart from a lot of other organizations. And I think that's really good. How can we avoid the problem altogether? That's amazing. Okay, but I'm really curious about how did it all start? How did you come up with the idea to start Reduva? What is the beginning of your story?
Well, it started 4 years ago. In a really simple way, we were at the college and we were chit-chatting with our friends about the current situation at Colombia. And we all conclude that corruption was one of the main problems that we have right now. And then we thought, okay, go to the streets and protest is one way to try to make a change. But what if we focus not only on criticize what is happening, but to propose some solutions with key actors, key partnerships, and start trying to develop those solutions by our role as youth. And we said, like, okay, maybe nobody is going to open up the doors to us. But the surprise was that when we went and knocked the doors, a lot of people opened those doors for us. And then we start to have key partnerships that helps us to develop some solutions. And then, well, at that time we were only 10 of us, and I can know how right now, but everyone is starting the universities to talk about what we were doing. And some people start like, oh, I want to be part of that. What can I do to be part of that? And we said, like, okay, we are having meetings each Saturday at our living rooms of our houses. And they were like, okay, can I go to that meeting? And we said, like, of course, come here. Danny arrives like that. And well, like 6 months later, we were a lot of people and we couldn't meet in the living rooms. We have to change the space. And there we find other partnerships, key partnerships that give us the space to have the meetings with a lot of people. And well, after 2 years now, we are more than 60 people, and more than 300 people have been part of the Reduva. So, well, that's like the long short story.
That is amazing. That is so inspirational. Like really just sitting down, okay, what's the problem? What can we do about it? And it's really just, yeah, anybody can do it. It sounds like when you say it. That's so nice to hear. Wow.
Yeah.
So how come you said that, okay, we saw the corruption was a big problem in our local context in Colombia. Why is corruption so important? Some might think that other issues are bigger, like, okay, we need to fight poverty first, or climate change. Like, what can you say to those people? Why is corruption so important?
Yeah, it is really important because, as you know, and is well understood, corruption undermines economic results, weakens democratic institutions, disrupts the social order, and destroys the public trust. So all these factors are clearly difficulting that government and many other actors advance to take like the solutions for other challenges. So we, like the humanity, the entire humanity, have many challenges such like climate change, poverty, gender issues, but we cannot take like the real and advance to the real solutions if we have the government and many other actors in corruption dynamics. So it is like the central way, it is like the central point to advance and the habilitator to advance in many other solutions. So this is like the unlock or the key to advance or to open many doors that can gives us the solutions for many other challenges that faces humanity and countries.
That's amazing. I love how you say it's the key to open a lot of other doors to fight. That's really, yeah. I think that's really like head on. Like it really sabotages other fights and makes the struggle to end other issues so much harder and so much it really takes a lot of energy out. It's so nice to hear you speak. I get so like, oh, I also want to do a lot of great work with this. You're really an inspiration, I want to say.
Thank you.
We're going to move to another section of this interview that I call Agree, Disagree. So here goes. Only people in powerful positions can be corrupt. Disagree.
Yeah.
We've already talked about this, but do you want to elaborate?
Well, traditionally, we think that corruption it's only a thing that happens in the political sphere, or maybe between people that have a lot of financial power or political power, military power. But we have to be conscious of that corruption is a transversal problem, and a transversal problem that affects not only people with power but all society, and all or every individual can be or can do corruptive acts or can be part of the solution. So the individual approach of corruption is that, okay, you as an individual can fight corruption or can do the problem bigger and bigger and bigger. And it doesn't matter if you have power or not.
We all need to be part. That's
Yeah.
And it is important to say that that is the main call to action that we promote from Reduva. Like, you as an individual are part of the problem, and your actions are transcendental to fight against this phenomenon.
Amazing. Great. Okay, next phrase. Getting a job through personal contacts is part of corruption. Agree, disagree, disagree. Okay, why? Why is it not corruption?
Well, I think this is something tricky again because of the intention. So, well, in Colombia, for example, there are a lot of job opportunities that happen from voice to voice. So, hey, do you know something that can, I don't know, do this research? And we said like, oh yes, I know a really great researcher that can help you. And well, you find that job because our relationship and because I knew you. But if I find my job because I knew someone, but I jump through all the process, well, that will be corruption, because it was not by meritocracy, but it was like without transparency. So it depends. But here in Colombia, it happens a lot that you find jobs because your relationship with other people, but that does not mean that you arrive to the position because you jump all the process and because you don't have all the abilities to the job. No, you have the ability to the job. You pass all the process, but you find it because you have a partnership with other people.
Phew. Good to hear. Then you can be safe if you got a job through personal contacts, but not if you skipped some steps and you're not qualified. That's amazing. Thank you for clearing that out. So the next phrase is corruption will always exist. I see you looking at each other. Oh, you both agree. That is an interesting turn of events. Why?
Something that we have discussed with a lot of people, most of them psychologists, is that some corrupted acts are part of the humanity. And that's why a lot of things involve the consciousness. And that's why we always talk about the intention behind. So, of course, the intention is what counts, but even in countries that have a lot of preventing and reactive approaches to tackle corruptions, those corrupted acts still happening. What are we trying to do? We are trying to build a society where transparency is the rule. Even though we know that the 100% of transparency is not possible to reach because of human nature, and that's what a lot of psychologists told us and make us feel like take into account, because at the at our first steps we were like, okay, in 2050, in 2050 we are going to have no corruption, zero corruption. And a lot of people said like, okay, come on, there is something about human nature that can't let us to be 100 transparent. So be careful, because we can build a society where transparency runs the career, but not where transparency is 100% respected.
That's a really good answer. So yeah, transparency needs to be the norm, and we can aim for 99% of transparency, but there might always be 1% corruption. Okay, so the last thing that you're going to react to, the last phrase. Young people are less corrupt than grown-ups. Young people are less corrupt than grown-ups. Disagree. Are we as bad as grown-ups? Are we worse?
No worse, but maybe the same. Why? Because we grow up in family context that affects our behavior. When we arrive to work with children, what we found was that they have a lot of dynamics inside their behavior that were being part of their daily life because of her parents, her teachers, her uncles, her grandparents. And we were like, oh my God, you have like 6 years. How you can think that corruption is the way we have to behave ourselves? And they were like, well, my mother do that, why should I not do the same that my mother do too? And we said like, oh my God, okay, we have to do, of course, a process with the children, but also to involve their parents and their teachers in the process, because if we don't do that, they are going to still doing the same as their parents and as their teachers, and they normalized those behaviors. So yeah, unfortunately, people or children at 6, 7, 8 years have corrupted behaviors because of the examples they have gave.
So young people are not less corrupt than grown-ups, but maybe we can become less corrupt through a culture change.
Yeah, and something really important is that, okay, we have to focus our work, for example, in first generations, like in children and in, I don't know, young people, because there's this traditional known that older people can't change their behavior, but that's not true. We work with adults too, and they are key partners to help the changing of the culture of the first generation and of the young generation. So we as Reduva believe that everyone can be part of the change. And of course, we as young people can affect or can make older people change their mind or their perspective of their traditional behavior, but also with a lot of people join it, we can do a better change. So everyone can be part of the change.
It's not just up to us youth to solve everything. Old
Yeah.
people also needed. That's amazing. Thank you. So talking about youth, how does it affect our lives? How does corruption affect the lives of young people?
It affects us, well, for example, in Colombia, because the lack of opportunities, corruption led us. For example, education opportunities or job opportunities too. And that leads to young people to have a lot of inequity between their development of their lives. And also, something that we were discussing a few minutes before is the confidence in our country, in our government, and in our society. And what is happening right now is that a lot of young people think that they have to leave our country for a better future. And that's really sad because if we do not have confidence in our society, in Colombian society, well, a lot of people is going to leave our country, and then who is going to build a better future for us? So we are trying to make our teammates and also the other young people to feel that we have hope and that together we can build a different future for us, to have a country in where we want to live and we want to stay, are not a country that we want to escape.
That is also so well said. Wow. I'm kind of speechless. About the situation in Colombia, one thing that's made headlines, at least in Sweden, the last year, are the big protests that happened earlier this year, and there was a lot of young people doing the protests, and I believe the corruption was also kind of in the mix. Were these protests about corruption, and do you think that did they make a difference?
Yeah, as you know, corruption is something really critical in Colombia. According to the Corruption Perception Index made by Transparency International, we are in the 92nd position amongst 180 countries. So this is a real big precedent, and we have here that the corruption affects many sectors and many topics. We have many reference cases from education to health, from infrastructure to school feeding, from the private to the public sector, from the legislative branch to the legislative or executive branch. So this is like something multidimensional and systematic, and you can see it in your daily life as Colombian. So weekly, you can see in the media a different case of corruption. So the people hear it and it's like, okay, they do it again. Is something that sadly the people have been normalizing. So we believe that corruption undoubtedly was one of the main factors of the young people and the people in general to go and protest. And we believe that maybe the recent protests were not like the real or the only solution to all our problems and our challenges, but it really make a difference because we stand our voice, and the government and like the high politics know today that we are very conscious of that, and that we are not going to stay in the normalizing way that I told you before. So this is a precedent and a call to action to the government to, okay, go on and bring us solutions to all our challenges, and also to fight corruption.
Wow. Yeah, it really is playing the long game, like you said in the beginning. And every positive step is a step in the right direction. I believe that too. So the things you're telling me about this corruption at the local level or the national level, but there's also a lot of global corruption scandals in the whole world, and a lot of people globally who work against corruption. How do you think that we globally can join forces to once and for all end corruption? How can international cooperation help in the fight against corruption?
Well, one key point is to recognize corruption as a big problem. I think that is something that started happening in recent years. Before these years, corruption wasn't part of the agenda or of the international agenda, and nowadays there are more and more organizations that are trying to reduce corruption. But something really common between those organizations is the reactive approach. So we think that if we join those efforts, and of course we recognize that the reactive approach is something important, because people has to know that if they are corrupt, they have to have some consequences. But if we also joined our efforts and try to attack corruption by a preventive way, we can do a big change, because we are not going to wait, or we are not going to normalize that corruption has to happen, but we are going to focus on prevent it to happen, and to avoid and reject that those acts still happening. So I think that's one key point that we can put in the agenda of corruption.
I am speechless all the time because you say things so well, and they're so important. One other like dimension of international cooperation is this, I believe, us talking now. You're a Colombian organization, and you got an award handed out in Sweden, in the city of Gothenburg. What does this prize mean to you?
Well, I think that this prize is, as I said, the recognition of a hard work, but also a motivation, not only for us, but also for other young people, to know that there is no any small action that cannot create a big change. So most of the time we said like, okay, we have only 20 or 25 years, nothing that I cannot do nothing that changed the world. And maybe that's what we thought 4 years ago. And then all the process that we were living show us that there was no small action that cannot create a big change. And now our work has crossed borders to Sweden. How, if you have told us 4 years ago, like, okay, in 4 years someone in Sweden is going to know about your work, we were like, no, we cannot do that because we are really young. But what is happening now is that what are we doing in Colombia, and not only you but other young people, and this can be motivation, as I said, to show them that you can be part of the change. Even if you are 20, 15, 25, 30, you can do something for your country, and not only for the country but for your region or for the world. So if a lot of organizations like Win-Win can recognize this effort, well, a lot of people can be motivated to do something else.
That's really good news to hear, and it really makes us happy. So, as you say, this can be an inspiration for other young people. As a young person who is inspired by you and your fight against corruption, what is one advice or one first step that person can take?
Well, I think to believe in yourself. You as young people can do big things. You can go and talk with the president if you want. Well, that will be the first one, believe in you. The second one is that no action is too small. A small action can do big changes. And the third one is teamwork. You cannot do big things alone. You have to have a great team and also share your ideas with other teams, because we only can do big changes joining efforts, not doing individual efforts.
That's amazing. Yeah, we need to join forces. That's great.
Yeah.
One side note, perhaps not as professional, but still, that I wanted to ask is because I really like gossip. I'm a really like I like to gossip a lot. It's not a very good trait of mine, but I do
We
it.
too.
Yes. So that is what I wanted to ask. Like, anti-corruption is often portrayed as revealing big scandals. So I wanted to know, is gossip important in anti-corruption work? Or do you gossip? You can say no. It's okay. You can also do gossip on your free time.
No, I think most of these scandals that appears on the social media, for example, it starts by gossip. Actually, that's something really important for us, and it's that we do not publish anything based on gossip. So we love gossip, but when we publish something, it has to have a lot of proofs behind. So I think gossip is key to start putting our eyes on specific scandals or cases, but we cannot let gossip guide our action. We need to be really sure of what we are showing to our audience, and that cannot be based on gossip but on evidence.
Great answer. Very, very pedagogic, I would say. So gossip can be the first step, but then you need to investigate the gossip and actually learn more about the true fact. Our interview is drawing to an end, but I wanted to ask you, you've won a prize, the Win-Win Youth Award for your anti-corruption work. What will be your next step? What's the next thing coming up for your organization, Reduva?
Well, we have something like a great goal, and it's to start aiming to fight corruption in Latin America. We started by Colombia, and nowadays we are really well positioned in our country in this fight. But from this year and also 2020, we start doing some partnerships to fight corruption in the region, in Latin America. Dani leads a lot of those partnerships, and that's where we are putting our eyes right now to start doing a big change in the region, and a change that is led by young people.
That makes me so happy. So I'm so glad that you are taking this forward and going also to a regional level. Daniela and Daniel, thank you so much for this interview. What an organization you are, and what an inspiration. I'm really sure that we're going to see a lot more of you, but also that our generation can be the one that actually ends corruption once and for all. Thank you so much.
Thank you too.
Let's make this world better now together. And I'll see you at the prize ceremony in October.
Yeah, hopefully, if COVID let us,
Let's hope.
we
Let's
can
cross
see
our fingers.
even virtually or presentially, but we will see you again.
Yes. Thank you so much. Once again, this was amazing.
Thank you too, and of course Ingrid and all the communication department, and also the jury for recognize our work. Thank you very much. I think you cannot imagine how meaningful is this for us. So thank you.